Since Peyton Manning arrived in Indianapolis, the Colts have been blessed with good quarterback play. After controversy between him and the organization, they got lucky and drafted the next big thing in Andrew Luck. Unfortunately, they did not put the proper weapons and offensive line around him, and he got hurt, and the Colts admittedly wasted one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Since then, they tried the Jacoby Brissett experiment, had a one-year rental in Phillip Rivers, and then traded to the Eagles for Carson Wentz. Many wondered if he could re-emerge like the player he used to be, become a franchise quarterback, and help lead the Colts to the next level. That was the expectation going into this year. Then, the actual season happened. They lost 4 of their first 5 games, including a Week 1 loss to the Seahawks and a heartbreaking overtime loss to the Ravens. At that point, it looked like all playoff hopes were over. They were 1-4, the team was not playing well, Wentz was terrible, and major changes would have to happen if they wanted any chance of seeing the postseason. That is exactly what happened. Jonathan Taylor has become a dark horse MVP candidate, Wentz has played good enough to win games, the defense has become elite, and now the Colts are pretty much a lock to make the playoffs if they just win one more game. In today's video, I want to talk about the preseason, how the season has gone so far, how they have turned it around, and just how good I think the Colts will be. But right before we can get into that, nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, and we can do better than that, so quickly be sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button for the algorithm, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now, let's get started. Yeah, I don't watch the NFL religiously, but I am a Colts fan, so I've watched every game this season, and I don't typically do NFL videos on this channel, but this one spoke to me, and I can't wait to get started. Going back to the preseason, they had a quarterback controversy. Carson Wentz was hurt and injured, and it was rumored he was not going to be available for Week 1. This left a quarterback battle between Jacob Eason and Sam Ehlinger. Eason, as we know as college football fans, was a 5-star who went to both Georgia and Washington, but he never quite panned out at either of those schools, and maybe the Colts could unlock all that untapped potential. Ehlinger, on the other hand, was a Texas legend, and he always seemed to overplay his potential. Ehlinger was more one of those winning quarterbacks that could get the job done, but was limited by his actual physical skills. It would go back and forth, and after Ehlinger led them to a preseason win, some thought it would be him. It was going to be Eason. Then we got a curveball. Wentz was going to play. Jonathan Taylor was coming off a pretty good rookie season, and many thought he would emerge as a good back, but not a top 3 back. The wide receiver room was okay. They returned sophomore receiver Michael Pittman, Zach Pascal was back, T.Y. Hilton was always steady, and then Ashton Dulin, Paris Campbell, and their rookie Michael Strawn were all supposed to have increased roles. Things kind of got flipped upside down. In Week 1, they would play against the Seattle Seahawks, and this game quickly became a disaster. It was a struggle for pretty much the whole team, as they lost 28-16, and the defense did not look elite like many expected. In Week 2, they played well against the Los Angeles Rams, but they could not get the job done and lost a close one, 27-24. From there, they went on the road to the Titans, and this would become a very pivotal divisional game, and they lost. They were 0-3, and not many 0-3 teams make it back to the playoffs. But the Colts decided they'd get it together. They went on the road to play against the Dolphins, and they won that game 27-17, and at least they finally got into the win column. Things looked like they were finally turning around as they had a huge lead on the Baltimore Ravens on the road. They would end up blowing it badly. The secondary was banged up because of injuries, and Rodrigo Blankenship missed multiple field goals and extra points. They ended up blowing the game, Baltimore brought it to overtime, and then Lamar Jackson won the game. That was infuriating. Instead of being 2-3, they're now 1-4, and even less teams come back from that. Actually, it reminded me, the Colts started out 1-5 in 2018, and they ended up making the playoffs. But there's no way they do it again, right? Well, it started with a win over the Houston Texans, and if they would have lost that one, people would have burned down the stadium. They won 31-3. The following week, they went on the road to the 49ers and won 30-18. Now they were 1 game out of 500. For the longest time, the Colts never lost to the Titans, but this time they would do it again. The game would go to overtime, and they blew it. 3-5 was now the record. That's when they were blessed with 2 easy games. They beat the Jets and the Jaguars to get back to 500, and then would have another test against the Bills. This is finally when the Colts proved they were here to stay, as they went on the road and won 41-15. Taylor had a season high to that point 185 yards. They were now 6-5 going into the game against Tampa Bay, and in the third quarter, they found themselves up 2 scores driving. That's when Carson Wentz fumbled, and it began the Brady comeback. The Buccaneers took a late 38-31 lead, And after a very promising kickoff return, the Colts could not get into the end zone, and they blew another game. The Rams, Ravens, Titans, and Buccaneers game would haunt them, and many wondered were the Colts just a fringe playoff team that could not beat anyone good, or would they finally put it all together towards the end of the year? After the 31-0 shutout over the Texans, we got to find out. They played the Patriots at home on a Saturday night, and I was at that game, and it was a lot of fun. They got out to an early lead. Once again, they left the door open for Mac Jones, but they did shut it, and Jonathan Taylor punctuated the game with a long touchdown run to cap off his 170-yard performance. They are now 8-6, and with 2 more wins, they would find themselves as a playoff team. Their last 3 matchups included road games against Arizona, a home game against the Raiders, and a road game against Jacksonville. The Raiders and Jacksonville game were the 2 they needed to win, and many assumed the Cardinals game would be a loss. Then the Cardinals lost to the Lions. This made people wonder if the Colts could maybe have a chance. Yes, they did get lucky with a missed extra point, a safety, and a couple of missed field goals by the Cardinals, but the Colts did just enough, and Wentz made a spectacular throw at the end of the game, and they would go to the desert and win 22-16 and beat the Cardinals. Now, with 2 games left, they have an opportunity to go 11-6, and if the Titans lose out, they will actually get the 2 seed in the AFC. Somehow, they will have gone from a 1-4 team to a potential 11-6 team and winner of their division. That doesn't happen very often, so what has been the reason why that's happened? Let's take a look. Honestly, in my mind, it has been 3 factors. 1, the defense has stepped up. Going into the Cardinals game, they had forced the most turnovers in the NFL, and when you can get more possessions for your team, you're going to have an opportunity to win more games. They really started to do that well in the last few weeks, and every single time it looked like they were out of the game, or they needed a big stop, the defense would come through. The cornerback spot was very weak at the beginning of the year, and that is the reason why they lost to the Ravens. As of late, Rock Ya-Sin and Isaiah Rodgers have both stepped up, and Kenny Moore has become a Pro Bowl player. The Colts actually led the entire NFL with 7 Pro Bowl selections, showing just how deep this roster is. Moore has become insane this year. Some say he's the best corner in the league. Currently, he is the most targeted corner in the NFL, and despite that, has only allowed a completion percentage of 67% when he is targeted. Plus, he had a passer rating of 78.6 and has hauled in 4 picks. Translation, he's pretty good. The second reason has been the emergence of their sophomore players, more specifically Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. Taylor was a really good rookie last year, and many saw him as one of the better backs in the league, but no one thought he would turn into this. He's had some of the fastest and best runs of the 2021 NFL season, and right now he has 1,626 yards and 17 touchdowns, which also led the NFL for running backs. Taylor is in the MVP discussion, and if the Colts win out and finish with that 2 seed, there's a chance he could actually win MVP. The other guy is Michael Pittman. He was taken in the 2nd round of the 2020 NFL Draft, and last year he had a pretty good season. This year, he's broken out. While he only has 5 touchdowns, he has 76 receptions for 971 yards and has become Wentz's favorite target. Pittman always seems to make big plays and is doing everything he can to make the team win, and those 2 guys are pushing the Colts in the right direction. The third reason is just luck. They got extremely unlucky against the Rams, the Titans, the Ravens, and the Buccaneers, but eventually some of these close games go your way. Arizona made multiple mistakes, the Patriots made a lot of mistakes, and the Bills came out flat, and the Colts just took advantage of it, and the law of averages has allowed the Colts to win some of these games. You're bound to win some here and there, and that is what has happened. We've seen the young guys step up, the defense has forced more possessions, and the playing field has evened, and those are my 3 main reasons why the Colts have saved their season and are now going to be a likely playoff team. They have not clinched it yet though, as they still have to win one of these last 2 games, and in order to truly clinch it, they will need to win both games. They seem to struggle on the road against Jacksonville, but I do believe the Colts will win both of these games, and more than likely, they will be a wild card unless somehow the Titans fall apart. I've seen some articles saying the Colts are the most dangerous team in the NFL when they're healthy, and that may or may not be true. They did beat the Cardinals without some of their top players, but the Cardinals were missing some of their top players, and the Colts just capitalized off those mistakes. They're not going to be handed a lot of those opportunities in most games, and they need to be on their best game if they want to win in the playoffs. Either way, I'm extremely excited and happy about the turnaround, but there are still question marks that remain about this team, especially at the quarterback position. What do you guys think though? If you're a Colts fan, why do you think the season has been turned upside down and saved? If you're a fan of another NFL team, what do you think of the Colts and their opportunities in the playoffs? And what's another NFL storyline I could maybe take a look at in my next video? I typically don't dive into the NFL, but if this video does well and you guys want to see it, then I'll go ahead and try to expand my content and make more videos like this. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section, smash that like button if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.